Ooh, that sugar sweet. You got what I need. Sipping on the potion. All that good emotion. Just my kind of heat. Keep it on repeat. Destined for
So as you can see, the BMW M340i 2020. So as you can look between the car, this is what I expect from BMW. The design itself is really great. The only thing I don't like is the false exhaust pipes right here in the bottom, both sides, which is pretty ironic compared to the previous generation where they had real tailpipes. LED lights, it's really nice. The rear bumper compared to Tesla, way better in terms of design. You know, I used to really don't like fake vents, but you know, after seeing what Tesla did, I'm starting to appreciate them a little bit more. As the car itself, it's really well designed, really well sculpted. Gas tank on the right, and you have, I forgot how big are these wheels, but not my fan. Not a big fan of them because they're pretty huge. But this, you know, applies for almost every other car. Wheels itself, this came with, I believe it was the M suspension package too. So this vehicle was more than the Tesla Model 3, coming in at around 59 grand in total, with everything including tax. And you look at the car, one thing I have to mention that I don't like is the door handles. Like I said, when you look at the Tesla's door handles, it feels so premium. It looks like you get in a sports car. This, like, come on. This is what you find on like a Honda Civic and, you know, your Toyota Corolla. Typical door handles. One thing I really don't like. As one thing I do, like I mentioned before, better than Tesla, I like it that most of the rubber pieces right here, it's only very little that stick out. This is like to block water, but even without it, as you saw on the other family vehicle, even when it's gone, it still works. So basically, I don't see any misting in the water because this is a one solid door frame. Unlike Teslas where they have multiple, like only one seal. Because you see, when I washed a car the other day, I wanted to show it, but I didn't get on video. Maybe next time I wash the car, you see basically condensation between the rubber plastic. Here you don't have on the BMW because it's completely its own independent piece. So right here, if this piece gives out first, which most likely will, the top right here, after like 8 years or so, that's showing an Acura, you have another sealer right here to stop the water from coming in. It's a multi-layer seal piece, which Tesla is just one, and it shows in the sunlight. Rubber does not like sun. And also, another thing to mention, you know, I really like those doors with basically borderless, but you got a lot of habit of people pushing right here on the glass edge of Tesla. It's a big no. You do not do that. You will literally have a really good chance of breaking a window, and I've seen one of my friends have broke the windows of their own car because they pushed on the glass in the borderless window frame. Those you're supposed to push on the door, because the door is structural, I can handle the weight, not the glass. But for these type of doors, people don't, you know, usually don't think. And a lot of car dealers don't tell them about it because I guess they want them to break it so you can bring it back in the shop and repair, right? Door handles, LEDs right here, really nice for nighttime to see. That car is pretty dirty because I actually drive this car as my daily driver currently until I believe 2022, where our lease is up. Door mirrors, side mirrors, you know, not bad, typical. One thing, both cars I don't like, windshield wipers, because I can't lift them up. Because I lift up this one, just like Tesla, I will hit the hood no matter what I do. Because sometimes when you clean the car, you want to clean the dirt underneath the windshield wiper. Because it collects a lot of crap and rocks and debris. That's one thing I don't like about it. As to the front, let me move the car out and look through the other side. And I can show you the other side of the car. Give a better view. So you see the back side is really good. And for this current generation front side, it's alright. Now let me reverse the car and I can show you what it looks like in full sunlight. And here it is. All its glory. The BMW M340, actually 340 now, I keep changing numbers. 340i. Front bumper, front grille. Looks really great. Around here. Front wheels. Comes with the M brake disc, as you see over here. It's really nice addition, which is like an extra, I think it was like a 4,000 or 5,000 package extension. As you recall, the Tesla, I bought that one, and the BMW, I leased it for 3 years because, as you know, BMW reliability is not there. As where you see for the other parts of the car, it's really well designed. Paint's really reflective, but overall it does a really great job on aesthetics. So, take you inside to the cabin. So you look at inside the vehicle, you first get in. Door handle, compared to Tesla, I mean, it's aluminum right here. It's a really nice touch. Door locking mechanism, your typical. Driver's profile set, compared to Tesla, I have to admit Tesla's is still king when it comes to setting driver profiles. So every time I take the car in back to the shop or for maintenance, these always gets resetted. I hope that doesn't happen on Tesla when I take that one in for maintenance years down the road. So right here, it's one thing I have beef with a Tesla. The steering wheel. Tesla, this is what a good steering wheel will look like. Besides the yoke is different. That's for like a different type of story and topic. But compared to the Model 3, this is what I expect from a steering wheel. Coming from a BMW driver, transferring over to Tesla now, this is what I expect. All the buttons here, and also, these buttons at night, when they light up, I can actually see them. The Tesla has a light up button too, 2 tiny arrows. I've seen other YouTubers post it. They're right, you can't see them at nighttime. Like, no point in turning on that function. It'd be really nice to have some physical buttons right here on the wheel besides those 2 knobs. And volume control, I mean, Tesla has it too. Fine. I mean, get used to that. Scroll wheel, call, talk, all this other stuff. Honking system feels solid. Steering wheel feels solid. Aluminum touches. And overhead dash. As you see, I had problems last time with the vehicle. This current car is barely 8,300 miles, and I'm already getting problems with the car, so that's a bad thing compared with the Tesla. And you look at it, overall GPS displays everything, small miniature screens, it's not bad. Look at intro and control, it was pretty standard, typical BMW. Been in one before, you'll recognize all these buttons. These are nice physical touch buttons, which the Tesla doesn't have, but their screen is definitely better than the BMW screen. BMW screen is touch assistant too. You know, still touchable, just touch screen. Nothing really special. Has a lap timer. I mean, let's be honest. If it's a daily driver, no one cares about lap timer if it's a daily driver. I mean, if you daily drive your car and take it to a track, well, you're one of the special people. Sorry, I'm not. As for the sound system, I would play music. About to say this is pretty similar to the Tesla. The only little difference is the balance of the sound. I cannot tell you what a difference between the two until you sit in one of them yourself and play music. Different types of music, all types of genre. And as for the seating position, everything, I like to sit low on the floor. It feels really good for me. And you have a lot of junk in the side pocket. You can store air vents right here. It's kind of all right. I mean, after using the Teslas, I still prefer the Teslas because the Teslas, these air vents here, only blow you at a certain angle. The Teslas, you can literally shoot it down from the middle right here, go through the steering wheel and hit you, which is really nice. Really nice feature. And you have basically all center control stack, driving stack, sport mode, dynamic mode. I wish Tesla had these type of buttons right here, where you have the sport drive mode, you know, automatic parking system, which I'm pretty sure when this thing breaks is going to be really costly. Basic touch screen pad, move it around, really basic. As for driving position on this car, I feel like it's pretty similar to the Teslas. Nothing much special. The seats itself, because the passenger seat is similar to the driver's seat, it's alright. But you gotta pay in mind, like I mentioned earlier, most manufacturers only care about the driver and the shotgun passenger. This is where the Tesla outshines the BMW. Rear seats. Rear seats here, like this thing, it looks really comfy until you sit back there. Like I sat in the back of the Teslas, as you saw in the previous video. The Tesla one's really soft, but the rear seats on this one, the BMW, because I sat behind this car when I went to Las Vegas, it's brutal. It looks soft, it's not. If you see seats are not bolstered like the side are here, it's not really cushionable, it's usually a pretty brutal ride. One thing they do better in Tesla, as I mentioned earlier, your seat belts. Like Tesla, why can't you just put something like this right here? I really don't get it. Just a piece of plastic that you can slide back and forth. Or even BMW, I kind of question why they have this bar. Like, why even have it when you have this little knob right here? This little knob stops the seatbelt from sliding all the way down. And Tesla's is completely fixed in place. I don't understand Tesla. Why? Other than that, pretty typical BMW. It's upgraded stuff. One thing I really wish Tesla do have, as I will mention now, ambient lighting. I'm not sure I can really show it here because it's too bright right now. But ambient lighting is really nice, especially you can change what color at nighttime. It makes the car feel really special, really unique. Like Mercedes was like one of the first manufacturers to start really using it, then came in BMW and all the other brands. I wish Tesla would do that. Door handles, you know, since it's electronic. Tesla, I mean, I don't have nothing against that one. It's based on design choice, not bad. Doesn't really bother me. Speaker system's great. Steering wheel is really great. I wish Tesla had that. As for driving feel, we'll get on the road in just a moment. Overhead, I have a sunroof. Sunroof is typical. I don't really use it. Same with the Teslas. Tesla's full glass roof. Not a fan of it during summer. Over winter is fine. Summer, no good. Headroom, they said Tesla has more room. Well, hate to break it to you, but right here, I'm like around 6. And I have enough headroom right here. And I'm sitting, I mean, I sit slammed to the floor, but I have plenty of headroom. Overhead top mounted console for a sunroof and stuff. Not bad. Headrest seats were really good. And then one thing that Tesla lacks, like I mentioned earlier, that sound of an engine. It's one thing it lacks. But besides that, it doesn't really matter when you have to fill up gas, because when you fill up gas, that's when all those things you care about change. So let's get into the back seat and I'll let you know more about it. So sitting in the back seat, this is my typical driver's position. And I have to say, compared to Tesla, Tesla has a battery in the bottom. This one doesn't, so it feels a little bit more comfortable. But overall, the long trips definitely need a stretch. Same with the Tesla, doesn't matter. This car is a compact sized car. Doesn't matter if, you know, it feels comfortable. But the seats right here, they're not great. To be honest with you, not great. I'm sitting pretty high to the ceiling. My head is pretty close to the roof. And I have to lean back pretty close to the roof line, which is not great. Center divider, typical cup holders, 2 right here for cups, and you have a little backseat drop similar to the Tesla. Backseat drop right here, reaching for the back. As the trunk space is obviously less than Tesla because Tesla has a frunk, which this one does not. Staying in the backseat, you know, it's typical. Got 2 USB charge ports, you know, air control, climate vents, similar to the Tesla. The only difference back here, which matters the most, it's comfort for your passengers. And now the Tesla, I have to say this is pretty garbage. I wish BMW would fix this, but you know, I have all generations I've been owning BMW, they never really care about the back passenger seats for the 3 Series. But for speakers, you know, you got the brand name speakers. This definitely sounds more crisp than Tesla's, but the placement compared to Tesla is worse. Because how I measure sound is based on how balanced it is depending where I'm sitting. Because sitting on the left side, I'll hear noise that's louder on the left side compared to right. Tesla's is really balanced, but their speakers are not as crisp. That's the trade-off. If Tesla can step up their game on that, and I think that'll be perfect. One more thing I gotta show. I'm not sure I can capture on camera. This is the one thing I wish Tesla can do. If they can do this, they'll be literally the car I wouldn't even blink and bat an eye for any other vehicle. And I wish I could show this, but let's see it. So you see the dot down the middle, it's kind of like right there. Right there is an overhead display. Like this should be like mandatory for Tesla, especially technology. Like no one cares about this thing in the bottom right here, okay? No one really looks down there. Side screen, check speed limit, no one really looks, I'll be honest. I don't look either on the Tesla. But if Tesla can put an overhead display, which is what's so special about this, watch this. So one interesting thing right here, if I can catch this on camera, this is what Tesla needs for me to like never think about other brands again.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
You see that on camera right there? If you continue driving, which I won't right now because the camera's not mounted, which I'll do later on, the overhead display right here will show you what direction you need to go. It even gives you a map in front of you and also tells you the most important thing. Like people don't understand how useful this is on GPS. It tells you what lane to take. Because when you go to an area which you have never been before, it is a hassle to find lanes. You'll drive a lot slower, you usually cause more havoc in traffic. This is what Tesla needs. If they can get something like this, an overhead display, and they already got it with, you know, this top console right here, and you put an overhead display like this, and that shows the map, is literally like virtual reality in your car. That's what it feels like. Basically, wherever you look, when you look in front of you, it shows display what lane you want to take. Right now, I think the King whoever's doing displays like this has to go to Mercedes-Benz. They upped the level again. BMW right now used to be on tire Mercedes when it comes to this, but I say right now it belongs to Mercedes. BMW probably number 2. It's based on using this, I cannot go back. This is so helpful. Overhead display. Tesla, please take note. If your next Model 3 come or Model Y, please put an overhead display. Like, you think it's not useful, but once people use this, like myself, you don't want to go back. That's one disservice that Tesla does. Tesla does not have this overhead display, and ever since I've been using it, trust me, you will not go back once you start using it. It's so nice when you don't have to turn your head, and it points to what lane you need to go to. Like, Tesla does not do that. That's one thing that I don't like. But other than that, I mean, that's like most of all the benefits gone besides driving. This car, compared to Tesla, does ride a lot more stiff. That's for sure. That's a given fact. Because they try to make it more of a sports car. But overall, it's not bad looking. I just wish Tesla had a better designer. No offense to the guy who designed Mazdas and started doing Tesla, but it's not the best. Like the headlights, tail, everything looks really neat. Trunk space. You know, I store a lot of crap in here and junk. Typical. They say that Tesla has more room because it has a deeper bottom trunk. Doesn't have a front trunk. This is a good old BMW engine. Straight 6 single scroll turbo. And I'm not sure you can show the turbocharger is all the way down there. I can see it from my side, but I'm not sure you can see it through this camera. But other than that is, you know, when you open this, I see it. It makes me really proud to own a BMW for all these years. And now, sadly, I'm gonna have to drop them because this is a finance channel. Money talks. No money, you won't be able to drive these vehicles. And whatever can save me more money going from point A to point B as a daily driver will be my go-to. So I'm gonna take you guys out on a drive and I'll let you guys know how the car feels. But before you go on the drive, please click the like button, subscribe button. It'll help out the channel a lot. And maybe I'll post more other vehicles in the future. So I'll let you guys know what's a perspective of how it feels to own a vehicle instead of a journalist. Because a journalist don't own a vehicle for a long period of time. In fact, my fam's been driving BMW and occasionally Mercedes for the past 2 decades. So we know what it's like to own them and lease them. Tesla's still a brand new company, but I'm always gonna give them the benefit of doubt. For example, my family always gave the benefit of doubt for Ford and Chevy. Had those cars for a few years. The problem is, like I said before, if you get screwed once, shame on you, right? If you get screwed twice, then shame on ourselves because we shouldn't have learned our lesson. So I always give brands another chance, but once you fail the second chance, for example, Ford and Chevy, I'm really sorry to say, I just can't go back to you guys. And it runs down the whole entire family generation. That's why you understand why Honda and Toyota have such a dominant base in their manufacturing reliability, because they've proven themselves by time. BMW has proven the aesthetics and power, but reliability not so much. And now with gas prices going up, Tesla is the way to go. So let's get into the car, begin driving, and I'll let you know how it feels. And depending on what type of ride quality you want, it will really be up to you. Whether you like a stiffer ride, a more sportier ride, or do you like a soft ride, like a Tesla? I mean, it's not the best type of ride, because when I look at basically drivability and comfort, I look at basically 2 things. I look at basically the best vehicle I ever sat in, softest vehicle, so you're looking at basically Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Mercedes S-Class, Maybach, and one of the stiffest cars I ever basically drove and ridden. Look at Lamborghini, Porsche GT racing cars, you look at McLaren, Ferrari, basically high-end supercars. And you compare those two, and that's how you can give yourself a definition. What's the best type of ride? A soft ride and a really stiff ride. And the middle, like the standard for me, is what most people would drive in the beginning. Basically a used vehicle, Honda, Toyota, bottom of the line, Civics, Accords, Camrys, Corollas. That's the baseline. So let's get driving. Enough of me talking. And now it's raining. I'll let you know how this vehicle feels like to drive. And guess what? It's really great compared to Tesla. But you know what's not great is when you get that bill for gasoline. So I forgot to mention one more thing before we get driving. This is what the BMW 3 Series looked like. I mean, besides the fake vents, grills, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's not bad until you swap this to the BMW 4 Series. BMW 4 Series? I'll show you.
No, 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 no.
Okay, driving the BMW M340i. So this car itself, the reverse is, typical, nothing really special. Car itself is pretty stiff for a ride, but if you're looking for closer to a sports car type of vibe, this is probably the closest within the $50,000 bracket. I would recommend the Mercedes A43 AMG, but after all the options, that one is definitely going over the MSRP, and including tax and everything, you are probably looking around the 60, close to $70 grand range, which is not recommended. So driving the vehicle, as you can tell right here, the camera's shaking, this is a pretty stiff ride for a vehicle. And its acceleration definitely is not better than the Tesla, but you get the sound, that's for sure. That is one thing that I miss that the Tesla doesn't have, but it doesn't have the pull, the torque, and the feeling, which most of the time you will not be stepping on the gas pedal or accelerator pedal that hard. Most of the time you'd be driving normally and you won't be really going too far. As for the driver experience, this car has really little to no body roll. The Tesla doesn't have that much body roll either, but since the Tesla is really heavy, you will notice it when taking certain corners. That's one bad thing about it. And going down a speed bump now, right here, you'll definitely feel a lot more the bumps, because since the suspension is a lot more stiffer, this car can handle really well. You'll notice when you start taking turns a lot more faster than usual compared to Tesla, which is, maybe it's good or it's a bad thing. It depends on the driver. But as for car has a feel to drive, a lot of people said, and especially journalists, said the steering is really numb, meaning you can't really feel anything from feedback. I have to agree, but it's not as numb as Tesla's. Tesla's is like completely dead. You cannot feel where the front wheels is. If you put this car into basically sport mode instead of comfort mode, then you'll start to have a little bit more steering feel. You know when the tires are gonna turn, when you're gonna understeer, oversteer. That's one thing that the Tesla lacks. This car is not as great until you sit in a Porsche. If you ever drove a Porsche before, you'll notice, what do they mean? They always talk about steering feel, why it's really important. It's really important is because you know where your tires are going. And most people, a daily driver, I can see why it's not as important for them, but for me, once you get in one, you want to have at least some type of feeling. So just in case, maybe one day, like you have, might lose control of the vehicle, might step too hard, you want to be able to control it. That is what it's meant for. But for comfort wise, let's say, it does never happen to you, then knock on wood, hey, that means you don't really need it. But that is the reason why people always talk about steering feel. As for acceleration goes, if you look at it, Tesla's is definitely way better. The brakes, compared to two, they're pretty much similar. I have to say that Tesla's is a little bit more jerky because of their generation system. But which one grabs better and stopping really hard, I probably have to give it to the BMW. And also really dictates down the tires too. But as for which one I'll pick between the two, most likely it would be the Tesla, because we're comparing to as a daily driver. And we look at which one's the cheapest cost to run within the $50,000 to $60,000 bracket. Like Tesla has all its quirks and features and a lot of bad things, but BMW has way more problems than Tesla. That's the one thing that really irks me until today. So this car just came back from the shop, and it came back for electronic issues again. And they partially did not fix it. So when the car gets really hot, you get a lot of beepings and warning sounds. But that besides other problems like oil change, maintenance, those things add up. And at the end, to even own one of these cars, you got to consider your finances, because that one's the most important at the end. So we're gonna give Tesla a try in a few years, and I'll update it again, whether or not was it worth switching from BMW to Tesla. Now sitting as the passenger, as the rear seat passenger on the BMW M340i. And now we're gonna go out for a drive and see how it feels. First impression, back here, compared to Tesla, it is pretty firm back here. Since it's a rear-wheel drive car and the suspension in the back, overall the suspension itself in this car is pretty stiff, but the sound evens a piped-in noise. That sounds really good. And the car itself drives pretty nice. The roads itself, it's not bad. Not as bad as certain places, so you can't really hear the rock chips and stuff. A lot of people complain on Tesla. It really depends on the road you drive. As you saw right there from the camera shake and jiggle, is because we hit a pothole. And that explains how firm this car is for a daily driver. And right now I'm trying to sit pretty slanted, but overall it's still really bumpy back here compared to our front seat because there's not enough cushions. As you can see, the cushion right here, if you see cars with like lack of cushion, it's firm, even with the softer suspension, because seats make up a lot for a ride. Also, as I mentioned, I do not like large rims because it changes how the ride quality is. Suspension can only do so much, because tires are the first place that makes contact with the road, so they'll absorb most of the shock. Bigger tire wall, fatter, meatier tires are the way to go for a better ride quality. So if you step on the gas a little hard, how's it feel in the back? Go for it. Whoa. So you do get that pull and that jerk. That's a typical gasoline car. As which one pulls harder? Definitely a Tesla. As which one is better to sit in the back seat? That belongs to Tesla again. As for features and controls on the back here, you know, for a $50,000 car, nothing special. It's similar to the Tesla. Nothing has really changed. But the one thing back here, I think the most important that people should take note of is comfort. How does your passenger feel? As a passenger here, if I took a long road trip, I would not be happy back here. I'll let you know that right now. Because based on how firm the ride is, the seats are not really that great. I wish BMW would change it, but knowing them, they just won't do it for some reason, no matter how many times they do it. But the Tesla, what they do get right is basically seats and certain quality and aspects they get right. At BMW, if you guys ever go electric, please fix your back seats. Like, please, this is not a comfortable car. I know you guys trying to go sports car, you're a sports car division. This does have the M package, but the seats back here, you gotta think about it. Besides people going to the track every day, there are people like me who daily drive this, and other people who daily drive this way more often than going to the track. And these back seats are literally close to a deal breaker for me, because I have passengers who sit in the back, and I do care if they get motion sickness or not. Because in a Tesla, I feel like there'll be a lot less chance, because I easily get motion sickness when I'm not operating the vehicle, and some people are even worse case than me. But overall, looking at these two cars, at the end, I have to go with Tesla, because at the end, finances. How many times have I taken a car to shop? For right now, Tesla 0, BMW 3 times now. And as I shown it earlier, barely 8,000 miles, not even 10,000 miles, took in the car in 3 times. Basically, either, I believe one was a false positive, other one is that had a transmission issue, was another false positive. But like, I don't want to be seeing that stuff. That's the problem. I don't want to spend time to send it in. That's one thing Tesla really owns at, but we'll see, because I heard a lot of issues on build quality control, and whether or not, since it's a brand new company, I want to see where it goes. So I'm willing to take that risk and share with you guys on the adventure. So if you want to see more content like this, vehicle content and car content that relates to finances, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll post more again in the future. Peace.